So let me tell you what Oslo.
Why are you assuming things?
I'm asking you a question because when you talk about it, you don't understand what was actually.
Sorry.
I think he understood.
I've literally specifically asked you about the aggressive expansion of settlements since October the 7th. It is indefensible, it is illegal, and in my estimation, it is a war crime. Now, we know that's happening because we can see it. We can see it. What we can't see in Gaza is because the journalists aren't allowed in.
All right, folks, buckle up. In this dreary conclusion to the series, we're diving into Piers Morgan's growing understanding of the Gaza-Israel conflict as he spars with Fleur, Hassan and normal Finkelstein. This one is packed with raw exchanges, emotional takes, and some baffling double standards. But don't worry, I'll call them out. Is Piers finally seeing the bigger picture, or is he still towing the line? Stick around as we dissect the settlement debates, media control, and uncomfortable truths about territorial conflicts.
Yes, and if the journalists were allowed in and they got killed, you'd say Israel's killing journalists. So you can't win, can you?
What do you think of the aggressive expansion of settlements on the West Bank since the war started?
I reject the premise of that, and I'll tell you why.
You think it's fine?
Let me ask you a question.
Do you support the expansion? I've had Jewish guests who have
there's occupation. Do
you think these expansions are fine?
I want to answer the question.
Are they justified?
I want to answer the question.
Well, yes or no?
Oslo.
Give me yes or no.
Split.
I'm not interested in Oslo.
Oslo split. No, because the whole premise of
I'm
the
asking
question.
you a simple question, Fleur. Has the expansion of settlements in the West Bank since the start of this war been justified, yes or no?
94%
yes or no?
of Palestinians
yes or no?
are living under their own
yes or no, Fleur?
in Judea and Samaria.
Is it justified?
What do you mean?
Is it justified?
Of course, what justified? We are building communities. There are communities in Judea and Samaria.
People out of their homes.
Have you ever looked at
international law says you're breaking the law.
There's no homes. There's desert. It's the Judean desert.
This is where Piers finally starts pushing Fleur, and her evasive response are glaringly obvious. She dodges, pivots to Oslo, and clings to the narrative that settlements are built on deserts. Come on, Fleur. Expanding settlements in occupied territories during an ongoing conflict isn't just questionable. It's blatant disregard for international law. Does anyone really believe the desert excuse?
When
it's very interesting because, okay, let me come back to Norman. You know, Norman, here's my thing for you, which you're going to probably like me saying this, because I've had guests from the Israeli side, and when I've had that very point, that question, they have actually very quickly said, I think it's wrong, right? And I respect that completely. I got to say, Fleur, your total refusal to accept anything in terms of the settlement since October 7th of the West Bank is wrong. I just find it outrageous.
Why was there terrorism before 1967?
I'm not going back to 67.
No, I am.
I'm talking about the last year.
Because you're talking about territory that was legitimate. You are talking about territory that was legitimately conquered after a war we didn't start in 67. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that when somebody aggressively starts a war, they should never pay a price?
No, but I think you should be honest about what the price.
They should never pay a price?
You should be, no, of course they should.
Should they? So what's the price they should pay?
That's the question I've been asking for the last year.
Jordan attacked
That's the question
Israel.
I've been asking for the last year.
The territory was Jordanian. And let me tell you something. After the war, they said, keep them.
Fine, I'm going to Norman for a response. Here's the thing, Norman. We agree about more than you may realize, and I do with you as well in certain areas, and disagree in others, right? So I don't come at this from an ideological, I'm with one side or the other. But I do find anyone who attempts to defend the expansion of settlements in the way that we've seen, I just think that they're so far one-sided, they can't see the wood for the trees out there. My big issue with Gaza is not that your characterization is necessarily wrong. It's that we as Western media don't know because we're not allowed in there. And my big problem with the IDF, and I'll get a response from you, Fleur, on this, is the IDF's refusal to let independent Western journalists in to verify what they're doing and to report fairly and freely, I think is very telling.
Piers hits the nail on the head here. If Israel has nothing to hide, why block journalists? Fleur's rebuttal that journalists would just blame Israel's anyways falls flat. It's a classic deflective tactic. Norman countered brilliantly, pointing out that humanitarian organizations are already providing damning evidence. This moment highlights Israel's media control strategy, a move that's more about optics than safety.
And increasingly damning.
Okay, Piers, I listened to you yesterday's program when you had Katie Halper on and Alan Dershowitz and John Kornakis and Matt Kennard.
Yes.
And that point you made yesterday, which you're reiterating today, I'd like to address it very directly.
Yeah.
You say the problem is that Israel is, or a problem is that Israel isn't admitting journalists.
Yeah.
And you correctly said it's fair for a fair-minded person to infer from that fact.
Yeah, so they're hiding something.
They're excellent.
Yeah.
They're hiding something.
No question.
But that's only half the picture.
Hmm.
The other half of the picture, which I hope your listeners will pay attention to, the other half of the picture is this. Since Israel imposed the blockade on Gaza, it's been a basket case, an economic basket case. And all these international organizations have had to come in. Save the Children, World Food Program, CARE, UNESCO, UNICEF.
Yeah.
They all have field operations there. They all know the lay of the land. They're all still there since October 7th. Now, when South Africa submitted its application to the International Court of Justice, alleging that Israel was in breach of the Genocide Convention, who did it cite? It cited all of these organizations. It would be better if we had journalists there, but really at this point, journalistic coverage would be superfluous. We have all the
It's never superfluous.
Okay, I will say superfluous meaning we have all of these international respected organizations, many of them headed by Americans, like Agency for International Development.
I get
When
your
they
point.
when they all charge it, Israel
I get
is
your point.
using starvation.
Running low on time. I want to just.
Israel is using starvation as a
Nolan, we have about 8 minutes left.
I just want to answer that.
Fleur.
The Special Advisor for Prevention
Quickly,
of
please.
Genocide yesterday for the UN
Yep.
was sacked. Why? Because she said that what's happening in Gaza did not meet the definition of genocide.
Yeah.
This is the Special Advisor for Prevention of Genocide.
Yeah.
What he is talking about is a blood libel that Jews have suffered for thousands of years. And what's happening today, that the little blood libel that used to be, oh, Jews are killing Christian children for making the bread, and all of that today, as the collective country, the Jewish country, now today we face the same blood libels, but in big.
Okay.
Exactly what's
Listen,
happening.
we have a few minutes.
Genocide
Okay,
is the
Fleur.
blood libel.
Fleur.
Apartheid is the blood libel.
Okay.
Everything this man talks
Okay,
about
you made your
is
point.
the blood
You made your point.
libel.
I want to ask.
And he's
okay.
having his 5 minutes in the sun
Okay.
because today it's trending
All right.
to hate Israel and hate Jews.
Okay.
But it'll be over because we've survived worse than this.
I think it's interrupt you. I want to ask Norman just about Donald Trump. He's the new president of the United States. He's packed his cabinet with very pro-Israeli people. That's no great secret. He makes no secret of being very pro-Israeli. What does that mean, do you think, for this war? I mean, on one level, it may bring an end to the war faster, which would be a good thing for everybody. But what does it mean going forward? I mean, my big argument with Israel, I've seen no coherent plan for life after the war. And I've been very cynical about Netanyahu, that he's facing corruption charges the moment this is over. He's also, there's a big report out today from Israel, holding his government to account for the failures of allowing October the 7th to happen on their watch. There'll be accountability for that. There's no great incentive for him to end this, but Trump may want him to end it quickly, I suspect. But what happens then? I mean, just be big picture here. What is going to happen, do you think?
Well, I hate to bear the bearer of bad news. And I've been criticized on that score by people who normally I would count as my allies. But as I said, I think Gaza is no more.
Just gone. What will happen to the people?
I think by hook or by crook, they're going to have to figure out a way to leave.
Well, they go into neighboring Arab countries.
Oh, they won't accept them. Don't worry.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Nobody's accepting
But as you know, Piers, in the modern world, right now, there are 2.5 million Syrians in Turkey. There are about 1.5 million Syrians in Lebanon. There are large population movements. I don't want to go into that area, first of all, because it's speculative. And second of all, it seems to me it's a distraction from what we should be focusing on now. And what we should be focusing on now is what happened, who is accountable for it, because that's one part of historical justice.
Before I go to Fleur for response, just very quickly, because we are literally into the last 5 minutes now. Should Hamas have any form of power in any government after this war?
Piers, I've answered that question to you before, but I'll answer it again. I will be succinct. if Hamas, by killing 1,200 people on October 7th, disqualified itself from participating in any future in the resolution of the conflict, then Israel, by a factor of maybe 20 times more, has disqualified itself. And we have to add, it's not just the state of Israel, it's the entire population of Israel, which gets more and more enthusiastic and relishes more and more each time a massacre unfolds in Gaza.
But we also saw hang on that. We also saw scenes of widespread jubilation when the hostages were dragged through the streets in Gaza from a lot of Palestinians. The idea that it's just Hamas members who have a view of an anti-Jewish sentiment. We saw it with our own eyes.
He is assigning a cult of death to the wrong side. He is assigning a cult of death to Israel. Israel is a cult of life.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you, Fleur.
I have four children.
Let me ask you.
4 children, and they come home singing songs, one day with peace. And you know what they're teaching the Palestinian?
You know,
You're finishing. He's not let me answer any question. That's not true. You do not live in Islam. You have no one to. I don't know how long.
Sing death to the Arabs.
He's wrong.
Amsterdam, they sing death to the Arabs. But even in Amsterdam, they sang, you know why there are no
Again, the abused wife is justifying the word children. The abused wife is justifying a pogrom.
In Amsterdam.
He's justifying the pogrom. The abused wife. Abused wife syndrome. Justifying the pogrom.
You have a cult of life for Jews.
That's not true. And the 20% of Arabs who live, and 20% of Arab citizens that live in peace in Israel, that prosper in Israel, that are in every single strata of society in Israel. You know who the best educated people in Israel are? Christian Arab women. And that's Israel. We celebrate diversity. Everybody gets opportunities, including our Muslim, our Druze, and our Christian population. He is living in a world that doesn't exist and is assigning everything that is wrong with Hamas to... Now, let me just finish with something. This is Ismail Haniyeh, who we killed, thankfully, a billionaire, the guy who obviously followed the accounting of Hamas, yes. The blood of women, children, and elderly, we're the ones that need this blood. So it awakens within us the revolutionary spirit. This is the guy who stole billions from his own people and lived like a king in Doha. Now, I think what both of you get wrong is that this is not a territorial conflict. This is an ideological conflict because Hamas don't want a two-state solution. And unfortunately, the PA...
This line from Fleur tries to rewrite the narrative, but it's deeply misleading. The conflict is undeniably territorial. It's about land, displacement, and sovereignty. Norman's earlier point about stolen land and blocked resolutions underscore this. Piers seems unconvinced by Fleur's rhetoric here, and honestly, so are we.
Have rejected every two-state solution proposed.
So what happens at the end of this
1947?
So what happens at the end of the war?
There is no territorial solution because this is not a territorial
So what will
conflict.
happen?
I pray that the Abraham Accords and that the wider peace in the region will bring the Palestinians to the point that they understand that the only way forward is to negotiate with Israel. Not to go this way or that way, and not to kill Israelis, but to negotiate with Israel. Israel is a country that I'm so proud of my country. 1948, nobody gave us anything. We've been fighting wars incessantly. We've built a technological superpower. We are curing cancer. We are curing climate issues.
You know what we need to cure?
Well, we have more per capita than anybody else, including Arab.
You know what we need a cure for?
Prosper in
you know what we need a cure for? We need a cure.
Arab children.
We need a cure. No, we need a cure for a 75-year conflict.
Fleur's proud cult of life rhetoric collapses under the weight of Norman's hard truths about Gaza. The Al-Claim celebration is a sharp contrast to the systematic suffering and economic collapse inflicted on the Palestinians under blockade. Piers tries to bridge the gap with an optimistic nod to Northern Ireland, but this isn't a case of two equal sides coming to the table. It's a conflict rooted in a massive power imbalance.
And you know what? I'm reminded again of a conflict in Northern Ireland between implacable enemies who killed each other for many decades. And they eventually got leaders who were able to barrel through all that and reach peace.
I was
that's what we need.
I was deputy mayor of Jerusalem for 6 years. All I did was build bridges between the 40%
Okay.
Muslim population and the Jewish
I've got
population.
to leave it there.
And they have
Fleur,
prospered
I have to
for
leave it
it.
there. Fleur and Norman, thank you. Listen, I appreciate you coming together. I know it's passionate views on both sides, but I do appreciate you agreeing to do this debate. I always learn things when smart people debate these things, all right?
Okay,
So
just one last word, if you don't mind.
very quickly.
Okay. I was supposed to debate Benny Morris at Oxford. He said he won't debate me. I was then supposed to debate Ehud Omar at Oxford this week. That's why I came. He said he wouldn't debate me. So I appreciate the fact that Fleur came.
Yeah.
I don't think she fared very well.
Well, that's
All right.
true, but let me
You know
tell
what? No, I'm done.
He refuses to debate
right.
Mossab Youssef Hassan.
You know what?
He refused to debate him tomorrow.
You know what?
You know.
You agreed
Piers,
to
why
debate him.
don't you?
He agreed
Why
to
don't you
debate you.
invite
And the
Piers?
debate
Piers, I asked you to
now
invite Mossab
completed.
to debate him on your show.
The beauty of my show
Then
is
Mossab
we get
debate
people on and they do debate.
Piers,
I believe that.
Mossab to debate him on your
All right.
show. He will refuse.
We will decide who we get on our show.
debate.
But I'm leaving you there, Norman. Norman, I'm going to leave. Norman, if you want to plug for your dog,
Yes, I
I'm
could.
going to leave it there. I want to leave with a mention.
Debate Mossab. Debate Mossab.
Guys,
Psychopath.
Mossab.
all right.
Thank you.
Norman Finkelstein, the author of Gaza's Grave Diggers and Inquiry into Corruption in High Places. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Good to finally meet you. Fleur, Hassan, great to see you in person. I enjoyed the debate very much. Thank you.
So, has Piers Morgan finally accepted the truth behind the Gaza-Israel conflict? He's getting there. While his questions show he's grappling with the complexity, his hesitancy to take a stronger stand suggests he's still hedging. Fleur's one-sided defenses lack depth, while Norman brings the fire, making him the clear winner here of this debate. If you enjoyed this analysis, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, where we cut through the noise and deliver bold, unfiltered takes on global politics. Let me know in the comments, do you think Piers is waking up, or is he still playing it safe? See you in the next one.